Our journey begins. It is day 145, October 23, 2024, and I wanted to talk about three different people: Elon Musk, Richard Dawkins, and Jordan Peterson. Basically, these three people, I've recently watched an interview with Jordan Peterson and Richard Dawkins, and they were discussing memes, archetypes, the Baldwin effect, various aspects like that. And then Elon Musk, we all pretty much know who Elon Musk is. So I wanted to talk about when you get into that conversation with Jordan Peterson and Dawkins, you start to see how we're getting into the nitty gritty of philosophy, of some of these core concepts of evolutionary thinking, what is science actually based on, and different aspects of that, which is obviously very, very important. But then I just wanted to kind of compare that in terms of the overall life, like when Jordan Peterson gets to the end of his life versus Dawkins getting to the end of his life versus Elon Musk getting to the end of his life. If you were to pretend to be each of those different three people at the end of their lives, looking back on your life, thinking, okay, have I accomplished a great in the advancement of humanity? Which one would you actually prefer to be in that sense? Would you think, okay, Elon Musk has accomplished some things, but maybe his philosophy isn't as thoroughly documented? Or maybe you think Jordan Peterson, because he's changed a lot of lives, but has enabled a lot of people that can become the Elon Musks and other people, and the sort of trying to preserve truth or whatnot. And then you have Dawkins, which I don't know a lot about, but I believe he's worked a lot with just Darwinianism and evolution and sort of the advancement of science and thinking about those sorts of aspects. I think even during the interview, they both Dawkins and Peterson talked about how sort of the marvel of science and the advancement toward being able to go to Mars, like Elon Musk is trying to do. And so I think they are probably both sort of a little bit themselves would probably, without putting words in their minds, would probably be thinking something around the lines of Elon Musk is doing this stuff, whereas it seems like, especially in discussions where it's between Peterson and Dawkins, it's more about discussing the philosophy behind what you're going to be doing. And I think that's where I value what Musk has been doing, where as a child he realized, he looked through all the religions, he looked through science, realized we don't really know any of the right questions to even ask, let alone any of the right answers to have to the reality around us. And so what do? We need to expand consciousness, and we need to explore the universe to even try to find the right questions to ask. He always references The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I think that sort of thinking is what enables the actual change to happen. That's what I often feel when I'm listening to these sorts of discussions and debates, how valuable they are, but also the aspect of wouldn't it be more valuable if you had two people discussing how, with those bright of minds, how to actually change 100 people's lives tomorrow, to make those 100 people be able to solve a global world problem or whatnot, the actual physical world change. And I think that is somewhat what Peterson and Dawkins have been able to inspire people to do. And so then you get into this question of the utilitarianism of what they've been doing. Have they been able to inspire those people that are going to make those changes? Which is better? Do you need people to do both? Should you be doing both? And I think this is where we don't obviously there's too many variables to fully know the answer to that question. And so I think without making too many assumptions, we would essentially go with the most probable explanation of doing both, of ensuring that your philosophy is based on sound philosophy, while doing as much as you possibly can to bring about the best world possible. That would be my opinion. Obviously, it's an opinion, and that's the same thing as me. I'm here making these videos every day, talking about stuff. A lot of times it's going over development of a new language or other directives that I'm actively trying to build and plan for the construction of the best possible world. But that involves a lot of philosophy. But I think even this YouTube channel has been a reflection of that, now thinking back on it, of working simultaneously on thinking through these questions. Some of these are just thinking through things. Like obviously this discussion right now is just thinking through the difference between these individuals and what they're going to be able to accomplish in their lives and which person I'd rather be at the end of my life, versus other times I've been like showcasing what I've been working on with the new language and discussing that and having discussions with all of you guys about that new language development. And I think another aspect about that discussion with Peterson and Dawkins was the reason for Alex O'Connor being there, being able to mediate, to bridge the gap. And I think that's something that the new language could possibly do. You could see there was a big gap between Peterson's expositions and Dawkins' clarity in their different ways. Like both are valuable in different ways, and I think the shared context would have been more valuable. And perhaps you could say, well, Alex was able to just simply bridge that shared and like clarify the meaning and then simplify it for each other because he understood the overall context. So it is possible to do that with current language. Like in that essence, there are other things that the new language I think would enable to happen. But it is possible to do that with just basic English or basic languages now. But that involves like an entire person mediating between two people that's like educated and has been thinking about, has experience with this type of aspect of those types of discussions. So, all right, so this was mostly just a discussion. I don't pretend to know much of anything. I really should know more about who Dawkins is and what he's done. I've seen a lot about Peterson and I've seen a lot about Musk, but I certainly do not pretend to know everything about them. So I'm sure I got stuff wrong, but I think the general sentiment is still true, that you want to be doing both things, thinking about the philosophy and developing the actual technology, the actual happenings of bringing about the best world possible and making your life the best thing possible. All right, thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.